The law, passed last year, had been blocked by a judge from being enforced.
Allies of former President Donald Trump have suggested the possibility of legal challenges to keep President Biden at the top of the Democratic ticket, even though he has ended his campaign.
Election law experts believe it's unlikely these court fights aimed at blocking Vice President Harris's presidential candidacy will gain traction.
North Korean state media commented on the U.S. presidential race, downplaying the likelihood of dialogue regardless of the winner.
The state media remarked that former President Donald Trump's high-profile relationship with leader Kim Jong-un did not result in substantial positive change.
Senator Bob Menendez will resign effective August 20th following his conviction on federal bribery charges last week.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host or guest and should not be interpreted as statement of fact. Independent fact-checking and corrections are encouraged.
Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please? Damn good coffee. And hot.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with the Dog. You make me laugh.
You know what? I don't have it. I just don't have it. I'll do it live. Okay, I'll go live. Oh well. Oh, good morning, you terrible, ugly, deplorable people. Do I say deplorable? Yes, I did. It is Thursday, right? Thursday, July 25th, 2024. Seems to be a kind of a summery day out there, but I hope it's a nice day wherever you are. Lot going on in the world. Maybe you don't know there's a lot going on in the world. And if you don't know there's a lot going on in the world, good for you. Ignorance is bliss. And I would love to be blissful and ignorant of some of the things I've learned about. I'm going to start off with something that, let's just say what the facts are and not get into Alex Jones territory from the start. Christopher Wray, FBI director appointed by Donald Trump, told Congress yesterday that there is some question about whether Trump was hit with a bullet or shrapnel. Now, on the surface, you could say, well, that's not really all that powerful a statement. It could have been a bullet, could have been a shrapnel, could have been shrapnel. He doesn't know. There's been a lot of conjecture about that because in the ballistic tests, an AR-15 bullet, even if it just skimmed the ear, I mean, there is no way it's going to do that minimal damage that the ear is completely healed by now. Again, if you know the ear, it's very fragile tissue. Okay, so there's been a lot of conjecture about that. But so Wray tells Congress, we don't know if it was a bullet, could have been shrapnel. He didn't say anything else about what else it could have been. and this is where I'm trying not to get into Alex. I have my own beliefs about what we're dealing with here, and they do go into conspiratorial territory, and I don't want to go there yet. I'm just presenting what we know. We know that Ray came out and told Congress there's questions about what actually happened to his ear. And Donald Trump responded with yet another phony doctor, not like Ronnie Jackson last week with his, who did not examine him, with his take on it. Now, Ronnie's not even a doctor anymore. And then, so Trump responded to Ray's little thing with English Bob, somebody who claims to be a doctor, saying what he thinks happened and saying it was a bullet. But he doesn't know. He wasn't the one who examined him. He's not even in America. He's an English guy. It's very clear. The conclusion you can draw here is that Trump could very easily clear this up by allowing the doctor who did treat him to make a full report about it. But he's not doing that. And he's not doing that. It's pretty simple conclusion here that he's lying. He's protecting the fact that he wants to propagandize the bullet story and make himself out to be a hero. Now, if it was just shrapnel and not a bullet, that really doesn't change the fact that, or the idea that he was, there was an assassination attempt, a real assassination attempt. My problem with this, and this is what my belief, it's not borne out in fact. There is no evidence on the table, no facts to support this yet. But knowing Donald Trump, knowing his history, I think we're looking at a very staged thing where a guy was not supposed to die, but did die. And that's on Donald Trump. Now, that's Alex Jones territory. And I don't, I'm not saying that Alex Jones would be saying, this is not what I know what happened. That's not what I'm saying. I have a very strong suspicion in my heart and in my mind. Listen, the guy's big wrestler, wrestling fan, part of the wrestling culture. Hulk Hogan gave his speech. It's very easy to fake a bloody ear, especially if you put your hand up to it. Absolutely. We've seen that done 100 times. Fake the bloody ear. It's also, we have evidence of what Trump is like when he does get shot at. He runs off stage scared for his life. We've seen that in 2016 when there was a gunman at one of his rallies. He did not stand up and say, fight, 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 with a clear shot at him. Now, all we know now, at this moment, is that Donald Trump is not allowing his doctor, the doctor who treated him at the hospital, to say whether he was hit with a bullet, shrapnel, or whether there really was no cut at all. It was fake fucking blood. His doctor is not allowed to say because he's bound by HIPAA regulations. Could be subpoenaed, though. And I think that the story needs to be amplified. Why lie? If it's just propaganda stuff, that's enough. That's bad enough to propagandize the whole thing and make a show of it. That's enough for some people who've been on the Kool-Aid for 8.5 years now, to kind of say, what the fuck, man? What is this guy? Putting tampons on his ear, coming out weeks later. You look at his ear, man, there's no fucking damage there. All I'm saying. We'll see where the facts go with this, but it's very, to me, very suspicious, knowing the kind of piece of shit the man is, that, and probably we will never know, because unless there is enough gas behind this for Congress to subpoena the doctor and say, what's the fucking truth here? Or whether the FBI can intimidate the doctor into talking outside of HIPAA, we may never know the truth. But it's important to keep your eye on this story. So that's what's going on there. And then the other thing, and Ron might want to save this for showbiz news. I don't know if it's showbiz. The Mr. Beast thing. I don't know if you know about Mr. Beast. If you're my age, you probably never heard of Mr. Beast. GD probably saying, is that the beast from the Bible? And yeah, believe it or not, there are some people this morning calling him the Antichrist. From what I can gather, and I don't know, I'm not a big follower of Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast has 500 million followers around the world, and most of his content is geared towards children. One of the guys who became a girl, one of the people who worked for him or was on his videos, featured heavily in his videos, somebody who was named Chris Tyson, who transitioned into Ava Tyson, apparently was grooming minor boys in private chat rooms and Discord servers, and doing inappropriate things with minor young boys. And Mr. Beast came out and defended him, calling all the attacks transphobia, but then hired an investigative team, supposedly, that found out that stuff was real and fired the guy. But Mr. Beast is coming under fire himself now for supposedly protecting and knowing about the things that were going on and protecting him. That's all I know, really. I'm not like I'm not really all that informed on the Mr. Beast thing, but it is very curious because there was some kind of, I don't know, idolization, or just thinking this guy was like a humanitarian on another level, and now people are turning on him, and there are people calling him the Antichrist. Mr. Beast, Mark of the Beast, all this stuff. Listen, I'm not going there. But it is interesting, and maybe Ron knows about it. Maybe wants to cover it in show business. Again, I'm not sure it's really showbiz, whatever it is. See if the guys know about it in a minute. Today, if we have the guests actually show up today, it might be a good show. Elizabeth Kelch, who is a sustainability author, somebody who I think travels for most of her life in an RV, writing about nature and nature preservation. In hour 2, we have a singer-songwriter, a Chicago-based singer-songwriter, Jory Abner, J-O-R-Y. I'm not sure if that's Yuri or Jory. Names again, I don't know how to pronounce. Anyway, that's where we are today. Hopefully both guests will show up, but I think there's a lot to talk about. Also, we may be premiering gamer news from our chief gaming correspondent, Stephen the Sitcom Ortiz. We will learn all about all this and more when we return after these words from our loyal sponsors, Daily High Club. And boy, do I need to get high daily.
With humble East Coast beginnings in 2015, Daily High Club is the premier destination for glass water pipes, vaporizers, and consumption accessories. If you're looking to elevate your smoking game to the next level, you're in the right place. With over 1 million top-quality smoking products sold, and with a growing base of over 10,000 monthly subscribers worldwide, we deliver the ultimate smoking experience. But Daily High Club is not just a retailer, we're lovers of the smoking scene ourselves, working with giants like Tommy Chong, Snoop Dogg, Chanel West Coast, and more. Ready to join the Daily High Club? Let our experts curate your collection with our awesome El Primo monthly subscription box, or grab one of our fun and unique pieces from our smoke shop. Click the link in the description below this video to get this party started now.
Very interesting that what's going on here. All this layout is just all weird. That woman with the bud in her mouth and the smoke coming out, that's a very weird thing. I don't know. The bud is lit behind the lips. It's I would never smoke weed that way. But, ladies and gentlemen, my friend of 45 years now, Mr. A.B. Testing. A.B.
Good morning, America. MindDogTV.com. Are you too aware of world events and you need more blissful ignorance? Come to MindDogTV.com. We have ignorance by the bushel and bullshit by the pound. MindDogTV.com. Enjoy the suffering.
Ron, I think you need a little Desitin there. It looks like you got a little athlete's foot kicking in. By the way, your mics are muted. You mutes. I didn't mute your mics. You muted your own damn mics.
Listen, I was trying to beat off to his feet. I got confused. I had to mute myself so you didn't hear me squeal.
Yeah. No, I feel like I got an athlete's face now. So,
it's ironic.
Yeah. We're 16 minutes in, and Elizabeth Kelch isn't here. I just feel like this is just like it's a routine now. Why do I bother booking guests? That's what I want to know. Why do I bother? Do you have any idea what's wrong with me, Doc?
You mean that with that, Doc?
Any of you?
Okay.
The question is,
get out of my butt.
You know what's wrong with me? CD?
No one has any idea. I mean, you could have avian flu because of all the chickens in your yard. You could have Lyme disease because of all the deer. You could have cat scratch fever because of all the pussy in your yard. I don't know.
What do you think is next? I mean, we don't have bear on Long Island. We have them in upstate New York, but I'm just wondering what's the next animal that's going to show up en masse to
a bobcat.
Oh no! I'm pretty sure the next animal to show up in your yard is going to be a Jackie Martling.
Well, I mean,
he goes to his door. He just looks out the window. Jackie's sitting out there with the blunt, just sitting on the ground with the cats petting him. And he's just like,
maybe you missed last time Jackie was on the program. He said, "There's no way in hell I would ever waste my time to come to your house."
No, I know. But
it's
funny thought, though.
That was before you were popular. Now look how popular you are. He is.
My question is,
have to leave the house to do concerts. You'll be able to just stand on your back porch and play guitar and make money because the audience will come to you
for free chicken.
You're gonna be having the big bucks out there. The big bucks.
Yeah.
When are you going to show us a picture of you outside dressed as Snow White, attracting all these animals?
It's the wife, not me. Believe me. They run from me. They run to her, and all of them allow her to pet them and talk to them. And it's like she said, it's probably the male voice that scares them away. Because when I come, they scatter like fucking crazy. Usually,
what male voice?
I figured it out. What's wrong with you, Matt.
What's wrong with me?
Okay, if your wife is Snow White, that makes you her grumpy little dwarf. That's what's wrong with you.
I'm not a dwarf, but I am grumpy.
No, but you see, it's close though.
But I'm all a dwarf. I'm grumpy. I'm sneezy. I'm sleepy.
You're piled up. You're all the dwarfs.
You're not rapey, are you?
I'm not dopey.
You're not rapey, are you?
Depends on how much you've had to smoke.
That's true. That is true. But
now, with the amount of bears that you're attracting, are you attracting otters as well?
No otters yet. That might be next. Otters might be next.
Because you need a balance.
Twinks are next.
Yeah, you can't have all these bears without any otters or twinks. What's going on?
Now, there's sea otters, and there's a different kind of otter, which I think river otters. What other river otters?
Oh, there's a third kind of otter too.
Oh, see,
bears and otters.
Yeah, see,
bears and otters and twinks. Oh my!
See, I knew what a bear was, but I didn't know what an otter was. Outside of the animal kingdom.
Me neither. See, you have to be a pervert. You have to go to Pervert U and learn these things.
Well, see, here's the thing. At Ron's age, he's a pervert, but at my age, I'm still younger. I'm a prevert. So
prevert.
So we're postbert. So
Let,
if we're
let's
post
start. Let's start with the Mr. Beast thing. You guys know about the Mr. Beast thing? Hey, I forgot. Fake. I got to take that out of there.
Ron, I swear to God, your search history it has to have you on several lists at this point.
Yes. Do you guys know about the Mr. Beast thing? Or you,
Oh yeah.
Now I've heard the term or name. I have no. I couldn't hold an intelligent conversation about that.
the guy's a gazillionaire. He started as a 12-year-old on YouTube and made. He has more money than God at this point, but. And he's been doing benevolent things, building wells for people in Africa, curing the blind. You're paying for new site operations for hundreds of people, blind people who can now see. Just doing all benevolent things with his money. He's still very young. Still, I think he's not even 30 yet. But he's been revered by all these people. And now there are these allegations that one of the guys who worked in his company, who is now a girl, one of the people who works in his company, has been grooming minor boys in back alleys of the internet. And he's been responding to that, but people are attacking him now, hugely. And
it's
I
a
just
mess,
found
man.
out.
I mean, yeah, it's a mess. The dude is the chick. I'm not trying to be insensitive. He's a she now, right? Like completely. That I haven't really kept track of.
I don't know. Yeah,
I'm not 100% either.
Ava Tyson. Yeah.
Okay, so Ava Tyson. I'm just gonna use the name Ava Tyson. Yeah, there's a ton of allegations of grooming and messaging underage kids, and honestly, it's kind of a growing. It's a spotlight that's growing, unfortunately, with all these influencers who have been really popular for a really long time. There's allegations coming out left and right. We had Dr. Disrespect last month. We have this guy this month. Sketch, one of the other real big influencers, it came out that he was a gay OnlyFans actress for like a couple years at least while he was struggling with drugs. I mean, it's turning out that a lot of these guys are pretty fucked up. So,
all right.
Do you think they were already fucked up, or do you think that them becoming popular made them fuck up? Like if they once you hit like 100,000 followers, you start to transition.
They got super popular as they were still prepubescent boys when they started becoming really popular, and they were teenagers when they became millionaires. So
I think for a lot of them, it's when they got famous is when they decided to, because like Dr. Disrespect got famous as an adult male. And then he decided to fuck up like he did. Ava Chris, whatever, is young, but started doing this. I think the allegations are saying after or during the transition period. So I don't know. Sketch, on the other hand, he did his stuff before he was famous. It was actually while he was broke and poor when he decided to do that to make some money. So I think that it's situational and varies, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's
at the end of the day, what happens as the result of all this is it feeds
fucked up either way. Leave the kids alone.
Well, what the people who actually are doing this should be held accountable. They should be, law enforcement should get involved in all that stuff. No problem with that. But this idea, when they're high profile like that, that feeds transphobic people. That feeds into the narrative that all trans people are groomers or after children and all that stuff. It's a very it's a domino effect. Like if it's that big, people are going to start to use it as prejudice and all that stuff. And we don't know. I don't know all the facts, and we're quick to jump to conclusions and all that stuff. It's not a good thing. And it's not a good thing to be so big in the news that people are going to be politicizing it. Now, I saw one kid in a video this morning on Twitter who claimed to be one of the victims of this Ava Tyson, who was 15 years old when he first started working with the promise of pay that never came, but seemed to be asking for money. And then I thought, well, when you get that big, you become a target for extortion. When you become big, rich, and famous, people, and especially if you are open about things like transsexual stuff or gay stuff, they're going to try to extort that and say, well, so who knows what's really true? Let the investigations happen. But I think at the end of the day, people are going to use this.
Ron, go ahead.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Ron.
I was just going to say that this happens on all spectrums of media, because from the internet, like with this, then what was that family that kept having kids, like a litter of
18 kids and counting.
Yeah, like the Duggars, like the one Duggar was fucking some of the other kids and touching them and shit. So I don't know. It seems like it's. I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say, but it doesn't seem doesn't matter where you go, you're going to find it, from churches to the internet to TV, wherever.
Yeah.
Okay, my suggestion. This is my suggestion. If people out there, if you're one of the millions of people who are following these perverts, stop. Follow me, okay? I'm not going to change. I'm too old to change. I'm not, I wasn't a pervert last week. I won't be a pervert next week. I won't be a pervert if I have 1 million followers. So just start following me if you want stability with what you're following. You have to worry about me changing.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
You don't have to worry about. You don't have to worry about me diddling kids or molesting animals.
I am worried about you diddling kids. He's going to Alaska. Alaska, they fuck moose, and he's going to Alaska. We don't know that he's just going.
He's going to a moose show.
But I'm very suspicious about this Alaska trip, so don't follow him. Wait till he at least gets back, and we do the investigations to find out what happened in Alaska.
And I think this should also be a lesson for people that want to move the country backwards too, because if you think about it, what was happening in the 60s, 70s, and 80s when there wasn't the internet and cameras wasn't around? Fucking people were touching kids all the time, because no matter what neighborhood you seem to go to, there was always one guy where everyone knew, like, yeah, just stay away from that guy's house because we're not sure what's going on there.
He's going to Alaska next week.
And like what Matt touched on too, with this Abel Tyson.
Oh no, Matt's touching on stuff. Oh,
I'm not touching, my hands are right here.
What show did I get involved with? Oh my God!
Look how supple.
But like you touched on with Ava Chris or whatever, they're setting the whole trans movement back, 1,000 steps.
Movement. I don't like that trans movement. I mean, I do think there is. I know what you're talking about, but I do think there is this. I'm not prejudiced against trans people. I really, do it. It's your life. Do what you want. I think it becomes a movement when people start to think, well, that's hip. That's the cool thing to do. Everybody's doing it now. Because I do see, it seems like kids I know from people, friends, children, or teenage children who are now transitioned. I think some of them I knew growing up, they were, I don't want to say normal. They were your everyday neighborhood kid. They got subjected to this, thought it was a cool idea, started experimenting with it, and then before you know it, they're full-blown transition. And you can't go back. I don't know if you can go back. Actually, I take that back. I don't know if you can go back. But I do think it is a fad.
I agree with you 100%.
What if they saved the original parts? Then can you go back?
I don't know. That's what that's a bit. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know if it's a fad. Maybe there's a small percentage of people, but I mean, it's a tough situation to navigate, and just to think that some people are just going to go with it for a bit. Like, I'm going to do this for a couple of years. Maybe there's some people like that, but I think overall,
I know,
and especially since trans people only make up 1.3% of the population or something like that. It's a very low low number.
But growing quickly.
I had Ron. I had 1.27. You may want to check your math. I had 1.27.
I think tomorrow it would be bigger.
Like in Florida, there are lots of trans people. So I can't imagine being trans in Florida when you have to deal with all that bullshit. So in order for someone to say, hey, I'm going to commit to this bit because I'm just kind of feeling it, especially in a state like Florida, I don't think they're just doing it for the sake of doing it.
Elizabeth is in the chat room. I have sent you the link. I'm going to do it in 1 second. I will send you the link. I just want to finish this thought. I'll resend it to your email. Check your spam mail while I'm talking here. I know somebody who was a very masculine young man. He's a drummer, muscles, beard, very handsome, rugged-looking young man, drummer. Played with him in a band. He was not quite 30. Got a girlfriend, and she said to him, she started showing him, guys dressed up and all this stuff. Started dressing him, putting makeup on him. He started putting that on Facebook and stuff. People started reacting to it. He just kept getting deeper and deeper and deeper in it. And all of a sudden, he is a woman and convinced about 5 or 6 of his friends to go that way too, and it's cool. It's literally just doing it because it's cool. So that's where my idea, where this fad comes in. It's like, yeah, he's doing it. He's dressing up. Now all of a sudden he's putting dresses on. Before you know it, he's completely, fully transitioned. The girl is still with him. They are lesbian. They're a lesbian couple, trans lesbian weirdness. I don't even know how to figure that out.
And that's why we should get rid of kilts. It all starts with kilts. A guy wears a kilt, says it's liberating.
Watch your mouth.
All right.
Listen,
you guys talk about it. I'm going to see if I can hook Elizabeth up with
so my daughter is 13. She'll be 14 next year, right? And as soon as she hit puberty, and this fad, because like you said, there is part of this trans thing that is a fad, and my daughter decided to chop her hair off, start wearing boy clothes, and I was excited. I talked to her. I was like, "What's going on?" And she was like, "Well, I'm just having these thoughts." And I was like, "Okay, well," I was like, "You know what all that entails, right? Because there's a lot involved." After sitting down and talking to her for about an hour, and then showing her a surgical video, she decided real quick that was not something she was actually serious about. And yeah.
Well, I wonder how many trans people were propositioned during the RNC in Milwaukee on Grindr. I bet you a lot of those guys are meeting up with trans guys.
A ton. You know what's crazy too is there's a huge section of the trans population who have transitioned, who are so anti-transition now because they've done it and they really, really regret it.
Right. Elizabeth, I have sent you the link.
That's scary.
Check your email coming from media1@optonline.net. Check your spam mail. Hopefully you'll be joining us in a minute. Just want, because you brought this, you didn't bring this up, but you talked about the Republican convention. It's important on the misinformation stuff. One person put out a very detailed tweet about J.D. Vance in his book, Hillbilly Elegy, on pages 213 to 215, saying that he fucked the couch. And that spread on Twitter like wildfire because the citation was so specific. And people are now, and they're arguing that it's really true. People don't do their homework. But if you do your homework, if you look at the book and you get the book, there's nothing about him fucking a couch. He looks like the guy who might want to fuck a couch.
You know there's what? No it's a couch.
It's a couch. Who cares?
I think it was close.
Who has it stuck in a couch or like a pillow or something? That's totally
Get off
normal.
my show, you freak. That's it. You're done. No gamer news today. No.
Hey, listen, I'm trying to put I could put the gay and gamer and be like.
My point is that we are very quick. especially when these tweets are like really specific like that. Look between pages 20. It just never happened. It's not in the book. That doesn't mean he didn't do it.
You know what it is?
He probably did,
is,
but that's
this
fine.
Is
It's
clever.
a couch.
This is really clever. This is what happened. J.D. Vance has it in the book, but it's not on that page. And he has everybody looking there, and they're going, it's not in the book. That's a lie. But it's
actually on page 227.
Yes, it's on page 227.
Right. Oh, look, Carl's here. We're about to bring in our first guest. Go ahead, Carl's got something to say.
You've got a guest coming on, that's why I only popped in by accident. I almost pressed the end button. That's it. I just want to say that for the first time, I just stuck it in the family dog. So I'll see you later.
All right.
Have a great show, guys. Love you.
You don't know how to get out, do you? Don't hit the end stream button, please. Yeah, let me take that. Elizabeth Kelch is here. Elizabeth is a person who is a sustainability. She writes, she roams, she hugs trees. I don't know if she gets triggers, but she is a sustainability author. Lots of books she's written and unpublished works. She's here now to talk about those things. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome in Elizabeth Kelch to Coffee with the Dog. Elizabeth, welcome. Can we hear you? We can't hear you. What's going on?
I thought I heard her.
Oh yeah, your mic's a little low. Let me see if I can adjust it from here. Edit mic settings.
Do I can try to adjust it from here also.
I made it a little bit louder.
How's that better?
Yes, that's very, very good. Thank you.
Okay, good.
So
hello, everybody. How are you?
We are a little bit discombobulated, but that's normal for us. Thank you for being here.
Where are you?
I'm at the moment. I'm actually in Long Island as well.
Oh, you are? What part?
I am. I'm in the town of Patchogue. What you're looking at behind me is the Patchogue River.
Ah, very cool. I will be there later today.
Very good.
Yeah. What brings you to Long Island?
My honey's family is from here, and so we come up here every year. We spend about a month here in the summertime. You mentioned at the beginning that I travel by RV, but I travel by RV or boat, either one. We have two homes, an RV and a boat.
Well,
no
good for you.
Home.
Good for you. Now in Patchogue today, they have Alive at 5, where bands on Main Street. Do you patronize that at all?
I have been to it. It's really fun. Yeah, but we're in Patchogue, but this afternoon we're having lunch with his family, and then this afternoon we're going over to Davis Park over on Fire Island.
Wow.
Love Davis Park. If anybody's been there, it's beautiful.
I've performed there as well. Not this week, but I play over there
at the casino. Very good.
Yeah. So how did you get started? And now you're married. Are you married and traveling with somebody else? I was under the impression
I'm traveling with my partner. We've been partners for a long time, and but we're not married, and we travel and we just go wherever the wind takes us. Mostly up and down the east coast of the U.S.
Tree hugger, get chiggers. You don't literally hug.
Triggers. I don't get any triggers. Started way back in the 80s.
Right.
When I first started recognizing that we needed to ease off the fossil fuels, and now we really need to ease off the fossil fuels.
So what does the boat run on?
What does the boat and the RV run on? Gas, right?
Unfortunately, yes. Yes, they do. I don't love it. We'll get there. Transitioning. But they're very fuel efficient.
All right. Interestingly enough, the guy who has the biggest electric car company is backing a party that wants to get rid of electric cars. I think that's pretty.
I find that rather interesting myself.
Yeah. Sustainability. Are you an optimist for that?
That's a tough question. I try real hard to be an optimist. We have no choice but to be optimists. We have to.
I have a choice.
We all have to work towards being sustainable, and we got to keep trying. There's no other option.
I am a very hardcore pessimist. I want to be an optimist. I desperately would love to figure out how I could be an optimist.
Are you optimistic about becoming an optimist? Or are
No,
you
I'm very
pessimistic
pessimistic about being an optimist. No,
Okay.
I'm hopeless. I don't have any hope about it because I do feel like, listen, we for all our best efforts, and trying to take care, or some people try to take care of the planet that we live on. Too much capitalism and greed, and this people who just deny science or look at it like there's nothing wrong with the world that we live in, as long as my bank account keeps going up.
That's what people are worried about. We knew back in the 1800s that the carbon warmed the planet, and the fossil fuel companies knew back in the 60s that they were large contributors to it. So yeah, we all need to work on shutting that whole
Not
thing
just
down.
they also didn't just know. The people knew. I mean, when I was in elementary school, first and second grade, we had a magazine called Weekly Reader, and
I remember it.
Okay, and there was an article in the Weekly Reader, and I mean, they said put the news in there, but they put it in kids' terms so that we could understand it.
Right.
And they talked then about pollution and fossil fuels and stuff. Then that's how I became aware of it. And I wanted to be an oceanographer so that I could save the planet by the time I was 8 years old.
Nice, good for you.
I wanted to. I didn't. Because my stepfather talked me out of it. He said there's no money in it, and to do something where you can make money. So now I'm a comedian.
Oh,
tons of money.
And how's that work? How's that working out money wise?
I'm swimming in money.
All right. Well,
as long as you count pennies.
Yeah, there we go. Writers have the same problem.
So I've talked to a lot of sustainable. Believe it or not, this is very weird because there aren't a lot of sustainability people out there.
There's a lot more of us than you think there is.
I've had a number of them on my show and talked about it. And population growth is one that I'm surprised to hear so many sustainability people saying we can if we plan it right. Because we're at 8 billion people on the planet right now. Tony Wall, who was one of these authors, I forget the name of his project, but shouldn't get hung up on thinking of his project. Oasis is the name of his project. He's claiming that in the next 10 years we will be up to 15 billion, and he believes that's sustainable if we plan it right. 15 billion people on the planet. Do you think about those things, the population, and how this rock called Earth can sustain 15 billion people, 20 billion people, whatever the estimates are going to be?
Yeah, we use people for food.
I don't think that's a good choice. But I think we need to eat a whole lot less meat. In one of the essays in my book talks about how if we grow things to feed to the animals and then get the nutrition from the animals, we're losing out on some of the nutrition. So if we grow things to feed ourselves and have fewer cows and chickens, then we'll be all better off. And it's not.
I'm getting more cows and chickens, but I'm not for food. They're showing up in my yard. And this is or leads to my pessimism. Like, this feels biblical. I'm not kidding you when I say in the last 6 months, my yard has become a haven for wild animals. And just yesterday, chickens are not generally wild. Somebody keeps chickens, but not in this neighborhood. And they just showed up in my yard, like a dozen chickens. Somebody wrote, well, it sounds like the groceries are delivering themselves. I'm thinking I should start building an ark. Because they're coming to my yard for some reason. They're all communicating with each other. Like, this is the place to go to prepare.
You should document it. You should document it. It's so that when the end comes, you can let people know what happened and what led up to it, so the next civilization can avoid it.
So Elizabeth, are you a vegan? Are you a vegan or a vegetarian or?
I am vegetarian. I have been for way back to the 90s. Raised my children as a vegetarian. Yep.
Are you
can't get myself all the way to vegan because I just love cheese too much.
Now when you said we're going back to the 90s, so did you go through the macrobiotic phase? Because vegetarianism has gone through like multiple phases. It's like there's vegetarianism, and then there's macrobiotic, and then there's vegan, and then there's. So I didn't know if you'd gone those routes.
No, I didn't go macrobiotic. I try to go as vegan as I can, but again, I said I love cheese. I just can't get myself off cheese.
Yeah.
But I prefer to be as close to vegan as I can get. Anybody who has their different diets about trying to get off animal products is different about how they choose to what they choose to eat. There are pescatarians and people who only eat sustainably raised animals and people who don't eat any animals at all, no animal products, and don't even wear leather. And we all have our different levels of what we're able to manage and what we think is appropriate.
So you're vegan adjacent.
Yes. It's a good way of putting it. Yes.
My only problem is when it becomes an activist thing where people are trying to not just evangelize about it, but get nasty about it and insist that everybody choose their own lifestyle, dietary lifestyle, and all that stuff. It can it can get, politics, sports, and now dietary are the things that divide us the most in this world. So
it is rough. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So writing.
I suppose I'm an activist, and I would wish that everybody was also vegetarian or even vegan. But I'm gonna try to encourage people in that direction, but I'm not going to be insistent.
Right. I'm an inactivist. I have my beliefs, but I don't push them on anybody, and I don't promote them.
Right. But I am opinionated and fairly loud about it, so
he also says he never lies, but then we just caught him in a lie because every day he's trying to convince people to do what he does every single day. So
you mean be a proud black man with beautiful hair?
Yes, that.
There you go.
The book now, living more sustainably. What is entailed in your vision of what individuals can do to make the planet more sustainable?
Sustainability, the definition, and this is all in the book. The definition of sustainable is doing things that you can continue to do forever. That there is no outside forces that would force you to stop doing, you or the society or culture to stop doing at some point in the future.
Is death one of those things that might stop you from doing one of these things forever?
Don't mind him. I can get rid of him if it makes you more comfortable. I could get rid of him in a second.
His comedy is the least sustainable thing on the show.
And
go back to doing your homework. Study your chamber notes.
I'll just take him up to the roof, and you'll never hear from him again.
My homework's done, sir.
But if you would continue your answer without being interrupted by the peanut gallery.
Yeah, sustainability is about continuing to do the things that if outside forces prevent you from doing it. So stuff like fossil fuels, there is an outside force, being just peak oil, that will prevent us from doing that. So it's not sustainable. If you think about the things that that we as a culture want to be able to continue to do, we have to change that. We have to, the children and the children's children, the cultures, the society, our society to go on forever, whatever the definition of that is. We need to make the changes in how we choose to live to be more sustainable.
Gotcha. Now, I think most people, most humans on the human level, personal level, people would say, yeah, that sounds good. But at some point, and this is where it really gets confused, human behavior gets really confusing, is that people will support the greedy people who are getting rich off of the counter to what you just said, the people who just want to keep fossil fuels as a staple of life and all that stuff. Those people are getting super rich. The people who are not getting rich off of that continue to support those people in their own against their own best interest. And how do you change people's minds?
Boy, that's a tough one. Yeah, how to change people's minds. I've been working on it for years. We just have to demonstrate to people the futility of continuing on this path. If we keep going this way, we won't be able to keep going forever. Something will stop us, whether that's our own choice and stopping on our terms, on a more sensible choice of how to stop this rationally, or it'll stop because the world will change, because our society will collapse, because we can't go on doing what we're doing.
Is that a bad thing? Is society collapsing?
I don't, but I've actually begun to wonder about that myself. I'm not sure that that's a bad thing. If we can have a soft collapse, that might be better. That might be better. We'll see how that goes.
The pessimist in me says we're definitely heading that way, and I'm not sure that it's a bad thing. I wrestle with that, because I do feel like America, being the pinnacle society that so many economies are based on the U.S. dollar. America is on a course. And we talk a lot about the importance of this upcoming election. I do think it's a matter of time.
There's a lot riding on it.
I think it's inevitable either way. I just think it's a longer process if the election goes one way than if it goes the other way. We're probably on a more accelerated catastrophe course. But I think because we have to change so much about everything in life in order to make it work. And again, it's U.S. centric, that thinking that the whole world revolves around us, but in a lot of ways it does. And if America collapses, I don't think the world will be far behind on us.
It's the world economy. You're right. Yeah, people are focused on what goes on in this country, but it's a world economy. It's a world government. We are all in this together. We're all human beings, and we're all working together.
So you are an evil globalist like me. You are an Earth person, not an American first. Yes.
I recognize that there are countries and there are states and localities and local. All politics is local, because what we do locally matters. But I think we all need to keep in mind that we do not live in a bubble here in the U.S. There's a lot more affecting what we do than what goes on here in the U.S.
Right. And I get a lot of hate from both sides because, you know what, there is a tendency to, and I think you're all born with a natural want to have some pride in where you're from and the country and nationalism. All that's like it's instinctual, I think. But if you look at the reality of planet Earth and its sustainability, I don't think it can be sustained until we come to an agreement that it's one world and not each, borders and all that kind of stuff. That's what creates division on the planet that we're in. This is why I'm a pessimist.
I agree.
Yeah.
I certainly understand the pessimist point of view, but I try to be an optimist because I believe that that's what's going to help us get through this. Go ahead.
Right. Gamer Boy has a question. Gamer Boy, go Gamer Boy.
Go Gamer Boy.
So I have a question
go.
and kind of want your opinion. So electric vehicles introduced as this sustainable, eco-friendly option. But we all know realistically it's not. But between the way they make
not
the
at
battery,
the moment, but we're moving in the right direction.
Right. So there's a lot of talk that there's going to be a pivot from electric cars to something more like hydrogen cars. So do you think that would be a more sustainable option, and do you think people would transition to that better because it would still be more of it's a gas experience without the gas involved, because you still got to go and you got to pump it, you got to it still runs a lot like a gas car without the gas. Do you think that would be a better option? You think that would catch on better?
You know what? I don't know very much about hydrogen stuff. I believe that electricity is, in the long term, most definitely a sustainable option, because we can get all the free electricity we want from wind and solar, maybe some hydropower, those sorts of sources. I don't know anything about how this hydrogen would be extracted or stored or whatever. And I understand that batteries are not, at the moment, sustainable. There is a lot of planet damaging stuff going on with batteries at the moment, but it's a step in the right direction. We're moving towards that sustainability more so than if we just stay on fossil fuels.
Now I'm actually working on a patent for an electric car that runs on static electricity, where you just have balloons and you rub them on your head while you're driving.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Just rub that on your hair and off you go.
Yes.
I'm working on
Now the
a
FBI
patent
is
for a
gonna
car that runs him over. So that would be fun.
I've got one of those right now, Matt.
Yeah. Let's talk about. I'm curious about this. You have another book which I don't have the cover of. We're looking at Living More Sustainably on the cover. ElizabethKelch.com is the link that's going by, and it's in the description. Let me take the book out. But another book, A Porch is No Place for a Penguin. Tell me about that book.
Well, as a writer, I've written lots of stuff. There's tons of books sitting on my hard drive. However, I'm not an artist, and so what I did was I took one of the books that I have on my hard drive. It's an ABC book for little kids. I took one of the books I have on my hard drive, and I hired a artist, and she drew a whole bunch of beautiful pictures for me. And then I published the book with her pictures and my words. And it's an ABC book all about the different ways that animals, places that animals live, and some of the crazy places that animals just don't live.
Right. I'm worried now because we brought this up that a penguin is going to show up in my yard today.
You never know, Mike.
Well, if you quit going outside and doing Snow White jams, you'd probably quit having animals show up. But
actually, you already have one on the show. That was my nickname in college.
Oh,
what?
I love that. I love
the otter.
That's too funny.
I don't want to know why. I don't want to know why.
It's just that every day I think the internet is listening to us. Yesterday we were talking about the Gerald Ford attempted assassinations of Gerald Ford. After the show, I went to turn off our Instagram stream, and right on my Instagram page was a picture of Gerald Ford talking about the possibility of a woman president. But it was just weird, and I feel like the internet is delivering to me every single day what we talk about on this show. So
It's always listening to us.
Oh, dude,
It's
yeah.
always
My
listening to it.
Netflix popped up. I meant to take a screenshot. Popped up with check out these collections of assassination documentaries. I was like,
wow,
what? It was JFK, it was Ford, it was Reagan. I was like, what is happening right now?
Mine popped
Netflix
up.
heard it. It just went.
Mine popped up and it said you
crazy.
could be a president, and it showed me pictures of Lincoln, Kennedy. so it's
well. If there's anybody I would love to assassinate, I'm just saying it would be.
Come to think of it, it did come from your mailbox, so maybe that's not Facebook.
As a matter of fact,
let me tell you about some of my other books. I have 4 books out. I'm working on a 5th at the moment, but I have 4 books out. One of my other books is called Everybody Prays, and what I did is I took the 20 most practiced religions in the world, just for the sake of covering the largest number of people. And I wrote a page about each of the ways that these people who practice that religion pray. And it's mostly about diversity and helping it's a middle school is the target market for that one. And it's mostly about helping middle schoolers understand how other people pray and the diversity of prayer in the world and religious diversity.
Now,
so that's one of my
Hold on, GD. Hold on, GD. I have a question.
Okay.
Is there a chapter in there on how atheists pray? You say everybody prays.
There is. There is. One of the pages is about atheism and about how
they only get a page.
Yeah, well, it's because it's a middle schoolers book, young middle schoolers, so they're it's single pages for the 20 most practiced religions.
See, that's why he wanted to cut me off. He knew we had the same question. But I have a backup question. Do you cover gamblers? Do you cover gamblers?
That's a 20 pages.
That one is not my concern.
Because that's
but then my other book, I also have another book about RVing and about how to be bravery. With bravery comes experience, or with experience comes bravery. RVing 101. Short.
So does the boat get jealous?
Sometimes yes. Sometimes yes. I'm an RVer at heart. My honey's a boater at heart, so we got to spend time in both places. Lots of good adventures to be had.
Do they both have names? Because the boats usually have names. What about the RV?
Yes, the RV is named also. The RV is named Bobby Bobby, as in Bobby McGee.
Oh, nice. Mr. Windshield Wiper. It looks like there's a windshield wiper flapping behind you. I don't know if that's but that's the
it's the line in the canvas that holds the canvas up. I'm up on the bridge.
Now, do you have a permanent residence?
How long have you
now I get it. Now I get processed. Okay, now I get the windshield wiper flapping. I'm with you.
Yeah. Do you have a permanent residence, or is life always on the road or on the water?
Life is always on the road. We had we moved on the boat back in 2015, and we had a home that we kept for a little while. We rented it to his son, but then last year we decided, you know what, we're all in, and we sold that, and it's just the boat or the RV is all there is.
I'm jealous. I'm definitely jealous.
Me too, honestly.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's a good life. It's a good life. A great experience. Lots of worlds to be seen, and I want to go see it all.
The RV is a long-term goal for my wife and I. Once the kids are grown and out, we'd like to do that.
Read my book. Read my book. With experience comes bravery. You can do it.
Now,
Also,
do you have to have a physical mailbox for any practical reasons?
I do. We do have a physical mailbox. There's places that are called mailbox services, postal mail services, something like that. I can't remember what it is. But you can set those up to be your permanent address. We don't actually live there. That's just what our permanent address is, and all our mail goes there. And then they just collect all our mail. And then when we are stationary for a few days or whatever, we know where we're going to be, that we have them collect it all up and mail it to us. But nobody gets anything really important by paper mail, anyways.
Oh, I do.
So
I get little cards in the mail. People will think about me.
Oh, that's nice. That's very cool. I do that.
He's lying. Nobody cares about him. Nobody likes him.
He's not lying. It's because he has pen pals in prison that he writes to a women's prison, and that's who's sending him cards. It's a whole thing. Don't worry about it.
Spread joy your way. I spread joy my way.
Yeah, he's just an awful liar. That's how he spreads. Anyway, Elizabeth, I'm sorry to cut you off short here. We are up against the clock here, and we got started late with you. If you'd like to come back, I'd love to have you back. But it's time for us to move forward. Thank you for being.
Move on to the next gentleman. Thank you so much for having me. Again, look at my website, elizabethkelch.com.
It's in the description, and make it easy for people. And I hope people do go there and check out the books and check out your lifestyle. Again, very jealous. Thank you for being. Thanks.
Thank you.
I cut her off in the middle of the sentence. It's time for news, folks. Let's do news, and then we're going to meet Yuri Avner, a Chicago-based singer-songwriter. Let's hear some. What happened to the news? Did you guys?
No,
you guys deleted the news, didn't you? You just hate the news that much.
Maybe Carl did it by accident.
Senator Bob Menendez will resign effective August 20th following his conviction on federal bribery charges last week.
Menendez had previously denied reports that he would step down, but his resignation letter was read in the Senate chamber on Tuesday afternoon by presiding Senator Peter Welch, a Democrat from Vermont. A successor who will serve the remainder of Menendez's term until January 3rd, 2025, is not expected to be announced this week. Jim Kender reporting.
North Korean state media commented on the U.S. presidential race, downplaying the likelihood of dialogue regardless of the winner.
The state media remarked that former President Donald Trump's high-profile relationship with leader Kim Jong-un did not result in substantial positive change. The U.S. political climate, confused by the infighting of the two parties, remains unchanged, and accordingly, we do not care about this, an unsigned column in the state-run Korean Central News Agency stated. Benjamin Wright reporting.
Allies of former President Donald Trump have suggested the possibility of legal challenges to keep President Biden at the top of the Democratic ticket, even though he has ended his campaign.
Election law experts believe it's unlikely these court fights aimed at blocking Vice President Harris's presidential candidacy will gain traction in federal courts. In an interview with ABC News this week, just before Mr. Biden dropped out of the presidential race, House Speaker Mike Johnson hinted that Republicans might bring lawsuits in states where he is not on the ballot. Liam White reporting.
An Iowa judge has ruled the state's stringent abortion law will take effect Monday, preventing most abortions after approximately 6 weeks of pregnancy before many women know they are pregnant.
The law, passed last year, had been blocked by a judge from being enforced. In June, the Iowa Supreme Court reiterated that there is no constitutional right to an abortion in the state and ordered the hold to be lifted. This led to the district court judge's decision on Monday to enforce the law starting July 29th at 8 a.m. Central Time. Jessica Oakley reporting.
So get it in by 7:59
news headlines
a.m. Okay. All right, and that music. Come on, Al. Ow, we're running out of time.
Florida's population surpassed 23 million residents for the first time this year due to an influx of people moving from other states, according to state demographic estimates.
As of April 1st this year, Florida had 23,002,597 residents,
People
according
love
to
that
estimates
ban on
released
books.
earlier this month by the State Demographic Estimating Conference. Florida is the third most populous state in the U.S., trailing only California's 39.5 million residents and Texas's 30.5 million inhabitants. Kyle Norris reporting.
A man who spent nearly 2 decades on South Carolina's death row for killing 2 people has been granted life in prison without parole 2 years after a federal court overturned his original sentence, news outlets report.
A Lexington County judge approved the deal for Quincy Allen. In 2002, Allen killed 4 people, a woman he picked up on a street in Columbia, a man at the restaurant where Allen worked, and 2 men at a Surrey County, North Carolina convenience store. He was sentenced to death for the South Carolina killings. Kevin Sanders reporting.
A second man has been arrested in connection with the shooting of a Tennessee Highway Patrol trooper, authorities said.
Trooper Adam Cothran had stopped a Kia Forte driven by Timothy Davis Jr. on Interstate 40 on Friday. When he approached, Davis shot Cothran, critically wounding him, according to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. The trooper remained hospitalized Tuesday, the agency said. Lawrence Keller reporting.
Officials in Southern California are searching for suspects in a fire ignited by illegal fireworks that has caused over...
Here's an illegal firework for you. I don't know if you guys noticed, but California's population is called residents. Texas's population is called inhabitants.
Well, that's because people in Texas are creatures. And no, I'm just kidding. That's terrible.
And Florida's residents are called patients.
So now the population growth in Florida, is it people going there for the political climate, or is it just because it's a law that New York Jews, once they reach 65, have to move to Florida?
Here's the thing: it's not a New York thing. It's a United States thing. Once you hit that age, you either go to Arizona, New Mexico, or Florida.
Well, in New York, it's specifically regulated to Jews. If you're a Jew over 65.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you have to move to Miami.
Oh.
But it's also
in Arizona.
There's also people leaving Florida too, a lot, because
not enough to offset, because the population is growing. So it's not enough to offset the amount of people that are going. Because if you listen, 23 million people for the first time, it means their population is growing, not diminishing.
It has grown, but at the same time, it's falling apart too, because prices have risen so much down there. Like car insurance is crazy. Having homeowners insurance is getting astronomical, because there's plenty of stories out there where people have moved down there, then all of a sudden their homeowners insurance goes up $2,000 in 1 year. And the same thing with like auto insurance too, because the state is ran so shittily. It's well, what do you expect? I mean, it's all seniors down there. But as I pray, the Lord will work it out.
Everybody prays, even Ron Kane.
Do you know that in Arizona,
if I may surmise, I'm speaking. Don't ever speak when I'm interrupting. What was I saying? Oh, if I may surmise the great Ron Kane's position on here, it would seem, and this, I don't want to put words in his mouth. I'd like to put his foot in his mouth, or my cock. Is that here you believe that it's not the political climate? You think people are leaving there for the political stuff, but you believe that the influx of population is due to age, old people just going there to stay warm.
Yeah, some of that. And then there's a percentage too that's first they're trying to get away from whatever or politically. But yeah, I mean it's a messed up state. Every time I've been in Florida, you wonder why it still exists.
I think Florida is not Australia. I don't think they have an extradition treaty with the rest of the country.
Listen, I ran away from home to go to Florida when I was 14 years old, and went to high school down there in the Orlando area, central Florida. And that part, and most of the state, I could say, I get what Ron's talking about. But I have to say, I love the Keys. The Keys, La Mirada especially. That's
the least expensive. Well, the Keys is the least expensive place to live in Florida.
And that's where all the swinging is, too.
Yeah. It's the cheapest place, the Keys.
I didn't come across any. I did not come across any swinging there. But then again, I'm the guy who doesn't see porn on Twitter. So you can't find me.
How did you ever manage to have sex in your life? You so.
Who said I did?
But you had a son, right? Unless
he clearly does, because if he did, his phone would hear him and it would pop up on Twitter.
Unless your son was a turkey baster baby.
He just showed up in the yard like the feral cats.
We just started feeding him.
Exactly. You ready to read? Now, I don't know if Jory is Jory or Yori. I don't know how it's pronounced.
It's Hori. It's Hori.
I bet it's Jory.
Now, you're insulting our guests.
No. I'm not. He's from Chicago. How much more can I insult him?
That's true. Well, maybe he's from Naperville.
Actually, it might be GD that makes him feel comfortable and at home.
Yeah. He's a Chicago-based singer-songwriter. He's been writing and performing music for over 10 years. He released 3 albums and headline shows all across the United States and Canada, you know, that one up there. He's here now. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome in Jory Abner. Abner. Is it Jory?
Jory with a silent J, silent O.
Yes, silent microphone. Is your mic muted? We're not hearing you. I like the background. I like the fact that you're trying to be made. Now your mic is muted, but no, unmute your mic. I see that muted in the bottom. Oh, we're waiting 1 second. And we're ladies and gentlemen, as you hold on to your seats, we're about to find out if it's Jory, Hori, or what's his story. Good morning.
Oh, glory.
You're talking, but we don't hear you.
We hear you talking, but you can't come in.
Oh, it's muted here. It says unmute mic.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
How's it going? Yeah.
So welcome.
Yeah, so it's Jory Avner. Yeah.
Jory.
Oh, Jim.
Okay.
Nice to officially meet you. So.
All right. So tell us about your. I've listened to some of your music. I like it. What was the song that I wanted to ask you about? Hold on, let me find the song. There is one song, Hunter's Moon, I think it is.
Oh, yeah.
In the beginning, it sounds like you're doing something satanic there to try to subliminally backmask me and get me to, I don't know, kill my whole family or something. What's going on in the beginning of that song?
So that song was actually a bunch of voicemails that people had left me over the years, and so I asked their permission, of course, but like I just thought thematically that would.
Were you trying to get me to kill these guys up here? Because that's what I wanted to do. I want to do that every day anyway. But.
Music is what you make of it, so I think that reveals a little more about you than about me.
Yeah. Well, no, it's also about them.
Sure.
It's all about them.
Nice to meet you.
So, if I'm gonna guess here, you start as acoustic. All your songs start writing on an acoustic guitar. Yes.
Yeah. So. That's generally the process, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the process. Where does it go from there?
So it usually just starts with. I mean, you're a musician, correct? Like I've heard.
Loosely, you can use that term loosely. Yes, I play music for a living, and I get paid for it. But that doesn't mean it's really music. But enough about me.
But yeah, so it starts usually just like in the car or walking around the house, and you get that thing stuck in your head, and yeah, I'm sure you know how that goes. And then it just translates to the acoustic guitar and the page. And one of my big philosophies about writing music is that I want everything to you can add all the band and the arrangement and decorate it with all the ornaments that you want. But like, if you could strip that all away and it still sounds good, then I think you got something on your hands. So.
Yeah. Are you self-produced? Do you produce all in that room that we're looking at right now?
I was for a long time. So I think the album Far and Away is the one that's up on, it's probably got, the most attention up there on Spotify and stuff. That one I did all myself, and I was teaching myself how to like record and how to mix and like how to do everything. I've gotten better at it over the years and better. But nowadays I just signed a contract with a new producer to start working on some new material that I've had lying around. So I have a new album in the works.
With a band, or you do all the instruments and use like sequencers and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, so I play multiple instruments, so but then the instruments that I don't play, I got a lot of friends that do music, so there's going to be a lot of people getting featured on it and stuff like that. So,
did the singing come first, or the music playing an instrument come first?
They come together. Because I think that like lyrics, melody, guitar, all that stuff, like they all have to work in tandem to make like those.
Yeah, I'm talking about in your youth, before you start, when you first started music. Yeah. Were you able to? Were you a singer? Able to? Did you understand singing before you picked up an instrument, or did your voice start to come after you started playing?
It was after I started playing, but I was always very obsessed with like writing. Like even as a very small child, I was writing poetry, I guess you could call it. And it was.
What was your medium? Bathroom walls, paper, chalk.
Oh, yeah, magic marker. Yeah.
Very good. The reason I asked that was because your voice sounds very good. You sound like a trained singer. It doesn't sound like there's any auto-tune on your voice, and if there is, then I'm wrong. But for a lot of people today, singing comes as an afterthought. Like they start playing, and then they realize at some point, if I'm writing, I got to start singing, because people are self-conscious and all that stuff. And the confidence of behind the voice is generally and it's definitely more prevalent now. The lack of confidence in singing, it seems to be lagging behind the confidence in playing. So I was curious about where the singing started for you, because you do sound like you have you had training?
I have not, actually, unless you count driving in the car and singing in the car training. But
very cool.
Yeah.
Now you get out to perform your live your original music live?
Yeah, quite often. So that's like my full-time job here in Chicago, is performing and gigging and things like that. So yeah, I get out there and perform quite a lot. I was touring a lot before COVID, and then after that, everything changed. The whole world changed.
Everything changed. Yep.
Yeah, and then so now I'm getting back out there and starting to plan a tour for 2025, hopefully after the release of the new record.
So do you do it alone with an acoustic guitar, or you gig with a band?
It varies, depending on what the gig is, or like what I'm doing. So I've done both, but for the most part, when I go out there on the road and stuff, I usually go alone, because it's so much more economical, and it's I'm sure what it's like to coordinate the schedules of a band. Like that in and of itself is a Herculean task.
Well, at this point, it's basically me and my partner, and the band could be anybody on any given night. We basically work with a lot of subs and a lot of hired guns.
Yeah.
Most recently, his band is consisting of chickens and cats and deer.
Now, Jory doesn't have any idea what you're talking about.
Excuse me, Jory. Do you know what cats and deer and chicken are?
I'm familiar to a degree.
Thank you.
They don't have them in Chicago.
He doesn't have to know. That's all he needs to know, is that chickens, deer, and cats comprise your band.
Chicago, all they have are handguns. That's all they have.
And what about the otters?
They used to have other things. They used to have chickens before the handguns.
All right.
I'm sorry, Ron. I didn't mean to step on you, Ron. Go ahead.
Ron is talking, ladies and gentlemen.
I just said, what about the otters?
You're hung up on this otter thing. This is like a sexual innuendo or something that old people like me are not.
You were talking about bears earlier, and
I said we don't have bears. We don't have bears.
But do you have? There could be otters around there too.
I don't know what
that. You can't exclude bears and otters. Come on.
I don't know what the sexual innuendo you're putting out there is about otters, but I'm afraid to look it up. I'll probably have to do
Jory can explain it to you. Jory can explain to you. Go ahead, Jory. Explain to him what the sexual connotation is to otters. Go ahead. We're listening.
You're a young man. You're young and hip. Tell me,
What?
You probably have already written a song about it, so go ahead and just tell them.
Ask your mother.
Ask my mother's in the closet in a bag in an urn.
Oh boy.
Yeah, she's been there for 40 years. So anyway, Chicago. Now you're Chicago. Actually, the city, or you're in a suburb?
I'm in the metropolitan, so I'm in the city itself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kind of a tough, tough existence as far as economically, inner city life. Yeah.
Not really. I'm fortunate enough to have plenty of work, and I try and keep as busy as possible. And
Wow.
I don't really think about it that much because
No, New York City. I don't care how much work you have. New York City is different. In Manhattan, you have to have some kind of financial backing. It's crazy.
That's a different beast, though. New York City. I love New York, but it's a totally different beast. Like,
yeah.
But I do love New York. I was just out there at the end of last year. Was it the end of last year or the beginning of this year? Sorry. And we were doing a direct to vinyl session out there. That was really, really cool for a single. So we pressed a bunch of vinyls.
Direct to vinyl.
Yeah, vinyl recording.
What is that? Because when you say direct to vinyl, I'm thinking like the old days. They would actually really record in a recording studio. It would go to a acetate, which would become. That's what it is.
Yeah, we went straight into the mix board, and we just bypassed, like, we didn't do Pro Tools or anything at all. Just the mix board just fed it right to the lathe, and the lathe cut it onto 45s. And we did every individual unique recording for all the people that like pre-ordered it and stuff. So
this is a thing now, because I've been hearing more and more about this direct to vinyl stuff. What is the major benefit? Do you hear a difference?
Well, that's subjective, like about like do people prefer vinyl, but I think the big thing for us was that it was cool that every individual 45 was a unique performance, because we weren't actually recording like anything other than just right to the vinyl, like cutting it right into it.
How do they duplicate that? So
they don't.
Like
we just played the song. Like, we just sat there in a room for hours and just played the same song on repeat, and we cut different 45s. Like, we just kept doing it.
That's wild. Is that expensive?
They asked us to do it, so like I don't know what their overhead is, but they asked us to do it, so we just made the trip out there, and that was the cost for us.
You empty faces up there. Have you heard of this before?
I knew about direct to vinyl, but I didn't know it was something. What he's talking.
You have to do one-offs. That's crazy to do one-offs, and it's unduplicatable. Well, not you could, in theory, duplicate it, but it would not. You'd have to. It'd be a couple of different steps, but it's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
so you taught us something today.
It was a really cool process. So
years ago, I had a couple of direct to vinyl albums that I purchased of bands, and they were like 3 times the price of a regular vinyl album.
Right. This is what he's talking about in the 1920s, when there was no other medium to distribute on. He's a member of the actual Ink Spots. Did your grandparents tell you about the Ink Spots?
I actually have a signed vinyl of the Ink Spots. I love the Ink Spots. So I have a vinyl of it that I got in Brooklyn that I picked up at a record store.
That's incredible. Well, he couldn't sign his name, so his name wouldn't be on it, which is why it's missing. But he's illiterate, so I mean, if there's an X on there, that was probably his. The music business now, because you have on your website. If you click on the music link, it takes you to a Bandcamp page or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Correct.
Tell me about the music business. Can it be sustainable? Just selling music, the old-fashioned way, selling your recorded music, or does the money come from other?
Yeah.
Whether
I'm sure that for some people it can be sustainable. Like, I can definitely see a pathway to
Taylor Swift.
You what?
For Taylor Swift or Beyonce.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't have a record mogul for a father, so But so I mean, I could definitely see that being sustainable for some people, but for me, I'd like the pathway to being like a self-sufficient musician has been to kind of diversify and get into a lot of different kind of revenue streams. And so like live streaming has been a big one for me, as well as I don't know, Patreon, like people that like become fans and they can support with like subscription like models and things like that for like exclusive content, if that makes sense. So
Right.
it's been a really
The live streaming thing, you use Twitch for that, right? You have a Twitch
I
channel?
do, yeah. I do stream on Twitch. I stream 3 days a week, and I take song requests, and you know we banter and all that stuff. So
Now, when you do that, and I've done 1 or 2 of those, and I've never really listened back to them because I'm just so fucking self-conscious that the minute the stream is over, I delete it. I don't even listen to it. But we've had people do live performances on this show, and for the life of me, I can't figure out why it just gets so compressed sounding. Even if they have a professional setup like you appear to have, they'll do something like with an acoustic guitar, and I just can't lose the compression at all. When you do Twitch, is the audio quality like good?
it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's like, you know, FLAC level, but like it's pretty good to the point where like, you know, it's about MP3 quality, you know. As long as you have like, you know, the right setup and routing the audio and all that, which that was like an adventure figuring out all that in the beginning of the pandemic, because I was a refugee from like the gigging workforce of musicians to Twitch, and I was like, well, this is my only marketable skill, so I might as well try it here. And it turned out there was a whole community of other people doing it, and we all kind of jumped into the deep end together, trying to learn the technology and kind of build out the know-how of getting like high quality audio and high quality like camera and like, I mean, learning how to decorate a room for the internet, you know. So like
all the stuff that you don't get into music for. You get into music for the enjoyment of creating the music, playing and singing, and then all of a sudden you have to become a technician.
Wait a minute, that's a different theory, because I thought you got into music to get laid.
Well, it's also all the money. That's definitely, you know.
I did at first, but then after you realize that girls hated you, then you just started to enjoy it.
When you just listed your reason for all the reasons that you get into music, getting laid was not the one of them, and yet you maintain that that's the reason why people become musicians.
I did not. No, I don't maintain that. Why I did. I said that's why I started getting.
But when I said I didn't become a musician for that, I became a musician because I was a poet, and I thought my poetry would reach more people if I could sing it.
Right.
That's why I became a musician. And you told me I was lying. That it was because I wanted to get laid.
Well, yeah, I do think you were lying in that instance. But I'm not saying that everybody does it to get laid, but I think you were lying. I think you're always lying. I think you're lying right now in this moment about that.
Yeah, I mean, it goes along with Matt lying about all these bears and otters, you know?
I never lied about bears. We don't have bears. I have not seen an otter yet.
You know what? I'd believe you if your hands weren't so supple.
My hand is supple enough to slap the shit out of you. How about that?
Oh, wow. Now look who's the new Mike Shavola wanting to fight a guy in a wheelchair.
I didn't say fight. I said slap the shit out of him. That's a different thing. There's no fighting involved. I just slap the shit out of you.
Okay, Daddy,
laugh.
chill.
Joy, I apologize.
He doesn't slap me, okay.
You get to watch the kids squabble.
His hands were soft and supple.
So do you have kids of your own, wife and kids and stuff like that?
Me? No.
Do you get it? Now, excuse me for assuming you're a hetero guy. You might not be. But either way, do you score because of your music? Do you get you get pussy or cock for being a good singer?
Or both.
Both.
I'd like to think I'm charming.
No, you're not.
Yeah, but we know that's not it. So you think we know that's not it. So you think the music helps.
You know, that's funny because somebody posted a picture of Shane Gillis with a really hot woman yesterday, and they said that men underestimate the power of being funny. So he's obviously got into comedy for the same reason I got into music. It's just And I wouldn't say it was to get laid. If I'm being honest, it was just to get any attention from women. I knew that I was not going to be a jock. I wasn't going to be captain of the football team or any of that kind of stuff. And the people who were getting attention were people with personalities. And I thought, well, if I could hide behind a guitar, maybe they'd think I have a personality, and that would get me some attention from the ladies. So that's a whole other story. Now in Chicago, is there
Do they have ladies in Chicago?
Yeah, do you have late? No.
No.
Is there opportunities to play original music? Because most places want cover bands all the time, and for us, it was always a matter of getting in, saying we're playing covers, and then sneaking in the originals. Are there original venues?
Oh yeah, that's honestly like one of the reasons why I love this city so much is that there's so many there's so many venues that actually still support like local music. I mean, there's Hideout, up until recently there was Golden Dagger, there's Empty Bottle. I mean, there's tons of them. And then also there's a huge scene of what people are like, what they call DIY venues, which are like houses that have been converted into like performance spaces and stuff that you basically go to a house in Logan Square or whatever, and you go in the basement and, you donate basically to the band if you want, and then they put on bands like local acts all the time. And like, there's like all different level of clubs in the city that support.
So
like
cool. I like that idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to do house concerts back 20 years ago. I was running a musician support group on Yahoo when they had Yahoo Group before social media took over, and lots of people were doing house concerts. And I did a couple of them. Those were really enjoyable things because it's intimate. The people actually, that people are actually listening to the music. They're right in front of you, as opposed to often when you're doing original music in a club or a coffee house or something, people are there having conversation and all that stuff. And original music, because if they've never heard it before, especially if it's not something they've heard before, they're there for other reasons other than the music, and you kind of like background music, which is not what original music should be. You want people to actually listen to it. But so that sounds like a cool twist on the house concert stuff. Do you do a lot of those?
Yeah, I used to do more, but I'm currently in like pre-production for the record, and so I've kind of backed away a little bit. I'm still performing, but I needed to clear up some of my schedule to be able to actually go and record some stuff and get all that like squared away. So, but I'm still performing. But yeah.
So marketing, doing the marketing. Do you have people helping you with that, or do you have to do all the business stuff?
So I do have a manager, but I also have a team that's like, it's weird to say like a team because they're like all my friends, but
not like the Cubs and the White Sox.
No, but definitely Sox all the way.
What I'm noticing on your page, and now I have not checked. Maybe I'm wrong. No, I don't see it. The one thing that your website doesn't have that most musicians have now is a tab that says merch. Do you do merch and
I
stuff
do.
like that?
Yeah, I do merch. But yeah, it's just I use a Fourth Wall for it, and so they haven't quite figured out how to integrate with my providers.
Greg Koch, who is from, I believe, Minneapolis or somewhere up there in the part of the country that nobody cares about. He's one of the best guitar players, best and most underappreciated guitar players that I know of on this planet right now. And he was talking about, I love the post he put out about a gig he did recently where he drove 7 hours, went to dinner briefly with a bunch of friends, then drove to the club, unpacked and set up his gear, then played the gig. Then he did 45 minutes at the merch table, played the gig, and then 45 more minutes at the merch table, then unpacked his gear and put it all back in the van, drove 7 hours home. And he was saying, I'm not complaining. I love this life. But that's part of it now, is working the merch table. And it's just, you become a retail clerk. And talk about the things you don't get into music for. One of them is not to be a retail clerk.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing that, like, me and a lot of my friends who are like in the same, I guess, field, like in music. Like we've been talking about how like the pressure on musicians nowadays is you have to wear so many different hats like all the time. You have to be a technician, you have to know how to design a website, you have to know how to decorate a room, you have to know how to operate cameras, like you have to understand technology on a different level. You also have to be your own social media marketer, and like you have to think of like content generation. And I don't know about you, but that is something that I absolutely despise to my core is content generation.
Yeah.
Like
It can burn you out too. That's a big part of it. Is you lose your creative energy when you have to do all those extra fucking things that you hate doing. Believe me, that's why I had a burnout coach on last week, because I wanted to talk specifically about that. How do you avoid getting to that place where you lose all your creative energy when you have to do all those extra things just to make it pay in any way? Have you figured that out?
I would love to check out that interview with the burnout coach. I would love to check that out, because like I'm
really
always
didn't give us much insight.
I'm sorry to hear that. But so for me, it's just I've taken the there's that kind of voice or like feeling in the back of our minds or whatever that's always saying like this has to happen now. It has to be now. And that was what was driving me to burnout for a long time, was like I was trying to do everything all at once, and it was just like I never felt like I was getting time off or anything. And now I've just kind of said, you know what, chill out. Like, how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time, and like you're not on a clock. Like there's no real pressure for this, and like the people that care, they'll wait. So
I'm 65 years old, and I've only been able to come to that epiphany very recently, where I've said to me, you're not on a clock. Nobody's rushing you for this. All that pressure is coming from inside. But it is that. I'm just freaking out right now because I just had a paranormal experience. I saw Ron have an out-of-body thing where it just kind of
I did too. I'm glad I wasn't the only one that saw that. Oh my God.
I was like, what just happened? Is this like poltergeist? What happened? Oh my God, they're back.
He does it all the time. What, this is the first time y'all seen that?
Well, Ron froze, but then he also stood up and went away, and then he came back and sat down, and then he went away.
Between what you do every other day and what you just did, Ron. Ron. Oh yeah. That. He doesn't do that every day. Now, Ron, you look a little frozen. Could you say something?
Sure. Everything is good.
Well, he just did it again. What the shit?
I think he was out fucking an otter.
Get me to pray.
That's 24. I can do anything.
So what we were just talking about, Jerry, you're in pre-production now. Any internal pressure on like album like completion dates? And are you doing now? This is Carl Hitchborn asked this yesterday. Is the album dead? Because people release singles now, and that seemed to be a good thing. But also EPs, like the whole idea of an album where all the songs go together for a reason, and there's a continuity there. Is that?
I'm a Pink Floyd guy, so I mean, like I'm LP all the way. Like give me.
So you're basically saying you're a Nazi then, right? You're like Roger Waters. You like Pigs.
I like Pink Floyd. I like Dark Side of the Moon and all that stuff.
Now I'm kidding. I'm kidding about that, but because I've had Scott Page, who's a saxophone player with Pink Floyd. He's been on the program a couple of times. I never asked him about this because I wasn't really hip to the whole Roger Waters controversy.
I'm not really super hip to it either, but yeah, I know he said some things that are controversial.
Yeah. And the battles between him and Gilmore, it's just strange how you can be friends with somebody and collaborators with them for 30, 40 years, and then all of a sudden they're a total Nazi. I never liked the guy.
So I mean, Gilmore just seems like the nicest dude. Like, I mean, I've seen that like he doesn't even have security or anything because like he's not worried about anyone coming after him. Like he just seems like the nicest guy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know what? I haven't. You say you're a Pink Floyd guy. When I listen to your music, I don't hear that influence. Um, it- are there other like strong influences that you can hear in your own music?
Yeah, I grew up listening to a lot of the kind of Omaha singer-songwriters of the 90s, and a lot of Cursive and stuff like that. Conor Oberst was a big one for me. And Simon Joyner is another really big one. So, and then I also listen to a lot of like Townes Van Zandt and Rodney Crowell and those guys. So like, I actually got Townes' album sitting right behind me up there with Jason Isbell and all of them. So, but yeah, I'm a big Townes Van Zandt, Rodney Crowell, Guy Clark, all those dudes. I love that.
Boy. Now, GD, who are those people? Do you know?
I think they work at Bellamy Bonham Circus. They're the elephant trainers. I don't know.
That's correct. That was an amazing good guess. Townes Van Zandt worked with Barnum and Bailey before Barnum was born.
Okay, I thought those names sound familiar because I was a big circus guy. Actually, circus.
I thought they were the Backstreet Boys backup dancers.
What about Steve Earle? You're a Steve Earle guy?
I am actually. I was just sitting listening to some Steve Earle last night.
So. You like Crack the Sky? No.
I'm gonna crack that guy.
What about Robin Trower? You like Robin Trower?
I'll hit you with the supple side, not the hard side. Robin Trower, Bridge of Sighs, Day of the Eagle.
I'm not familiar with them actually.
He was a phony like guitar hero in the 70s who really had one decent album, and it's like crack this guy, pretty much sucky music all the way through.
I think Trower was more famous for having like a Hendrix type sound.
Yeah.
A
phony Hendrix type sound.
Okay. Yeah, low budget Hendrix sound.
Right. Yeah.
But they're not like Crack the Sky is just totally bitching. They're just like the best. They're one of the best bands that never got appreciated.
Yeah. And they're not appreciated here at this moment. Thank
you. That's true. That's true.
Now, what about do you do anything for like fan outreach, fan club type stuff? Do you have to?
Well, I mean, with the advent of technology, I have a Discord server that we all hang out in.
Does Mr. Beast know about it yet?
I don't know, but if he wants to throw a little charity my way, then yeah, sure, why not?
He's going through some controversy with one of his guys, one of his people, who had a Discord server. Yeah,
it seems like I do my best to stay away from like the drama
news
and all that stuff. Well, I mean, it's hard to do that nowadays, but yeah, I just try and stay away from the drama and so.
Does all that? It seems like because you said Dark Side of the Moon guy and all that, and all these people you mentioned, they're from my era, and you seem like a young man. Like it's just really curious to me. Like the younger people today are not like gravitating to artists their own age. They basically are finding people from my era, which to me, if I were doing that, I would have been a Bing Crosby fan growing up. If I would like people the older generation, I would have been Al Jolson and Bing Crosby and all that stuff. It's just very weird to see young people listening to music that are 50 or 60 years old.
I think they're looking for something different. I think new music of their contemporary music sounds the same for the most part. If you want something different, you have to go back when there were bands that had their own style.
Right.
Yeah, I think also like at the time, one, we live in the era where we can look back in hindsight and we have just the best of the best that has stood the test of time. So like your Led Zeppelins, your Beatles, your Rolling Stones, like all of that stuff, the Ink Spots. Like,
how dare you say that Juice WRLD won't stand up?
But that's the thing also is like pop music today isn't meant to stand the test of time. It's meant to be a cash grab. At least a lot of it, I think, it's not meant to be something that you put on your, your turntable, your techniques, and like spin that and hang with your friends. Like, it's not that. It's meant to sell Pepsi or like, to push whatever,
Yeah, back in my day, we made music to make babies buy.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Just for oh, so it was about getting laid then.
No, I'm just making babies. That's not why I became. I said that we used to make music for that. I'm not talking about me.
For clarity's sake, Wayne World only stood up. When you say stood up, they only stood up to go swing. That's what.
Oh, Wayne's World, yeah.
Does it blow your mind? Because it blows my mind when I listen to older music to realize they didn't have Logic. They didn't. For the most part, a lot of those records were done 4-track or 8-track, thin tape machines. And like if you listen to Led Zeppelin's like first couple of albums, done 8-track, but it seemed like the production value and Bottom's drum kit wasn't even mic'd up each drum. They just put like drums in the room with them, and you're hearing room echo and all that kind of stuff. The way they produce records and the way they still do hold up, that blows my mind because they didn't have Logic. They didn't have Pro Tools and all that stuff. Does that?
I mean, well, at the time, like you had to be the best of the best, right? And like, you go back even earlier, especially going back to like when they were direct to vinyl, like, and that was the only technology that existed. Like, you had to be a musician that could do it that one take. You could cut that like that one take. And I mean, like with the advent of Pro Tools and Ableton and like Scarlett Focusrites and stuff in the home recording technology, I mean, it's been kind of a double-edged sword in that, like, it's on the one hand made music recording and technology like accessible to so many more people, like that are getting the ability, just even the ability to get in the studio. But on the other hand, then you also get a lot of stuff that's maybe just a hobbyist or whatever, so
yeah. As a songwriter, do you have to resist the because so many hit records are using those same 1-5-6-4 type progressions right now, and it's easy to fall into that trap, especially and I have done it myself, but I feel like I have to kind of fight myself never to use those progressions that everybody else is using. Do you have that kind of situation going on where this is sounding too much like Ed Sheeran?
Oh, I mean, well, yeah, but I don't think that the progressions are the reason why Ed Sheeran sounds like Ed Sheeran, like,
yeah, he learned to sing very well. Yeah, his voice is. Have you heard where he was on Stern and he played demos of when he could not sing? He couldn't sing at all. I mean, it's amazing to hear how good he became from a guy who really struggled to find pitch and all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's dedication, right? That's hard work and dedication. I don't want to take that away from anybody,
No, I get it. Yeah, I appreciate that too. But I didn't mean to denigrate him. But I mean, the songs that are out there are all the same progression, whether it's Taylor Swift, Ed Sheeran, or all these people are using the same old progression on if you turn on the radio right now, it's almost deafening you can't tell the difference between one song or the other one. They're all the same exact.
Now, I use the same chord progression, but what I do is I detune the guitar so that I play them off key. So even though I'm using the same chord fingerings over and over again, because the guitar is out of tune, it sounds different.
That's a good technique. I'll have to try that.
I can't remember why I ever asked him to be on the show.
That's
DEI. DEI.
Yeah, I must have been fucking drunk, or maybe I had just thrown somebody off a roof and was thinking, we need to replace that guy. I just don't know. Anyway, so what's with the pre-production? Do you plan on getting out soon, back on the back touring or playing out? Or
hopefully 2025, I'm gonna be back on the road. Because I mean, I saw I was listening to your interview with the previous guest about like RV and mobile life, and I was like, that's some good stuff for like a musician, you know. I mean, like a lot of us live on the road a lot of the time, so it's like
guy I had on who I hate, a comedian slash musician. I'm not going to say his name, but he had a mini camper, like one of these, not an RV per se, but an old-time van. But he had the coolest thing where the back of it opened up and there was like a stage that he had a stage that folded out behind the thing, and the thing would power, the little PA system all pop out, so he could go to a park and put on a concert like that. And for me, that's the hippie. That's a hippie dream for me. I would love that. I would fill it up with good weed and just hit the road. My wife would never hear from me again.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
Until you run out of weed and you say, honey, could you go up to the Patusa Talk store and get me some more weed?
There's got to be Papusa Tuck stores wherever I'd be headed to, Islamorada, Florida, or wherever. Oh, no, it's still illegal in Florida. Well, fuck, I'm not moving to Florida. How about you, Joey? You moving to Florida?
My parents live in Florida, so, you know.
Are you Jewish?
Yeah.
There you go. Did they move to Miami?
Holy
No.
shit, you were right.
Southern Miami, Southern Florida, maybe somewhat Lauderdale. They're in the area, right? They're not far from my.
Yeah, it's drivable, but you know, yeah.
I think there is a law. I'm pretty sure. I thought it was just New York, but it might be Illinois too, where if you're Jewish and you reach a certain age, you have to move.
I think it's just an everyone thing, man. Like even Canadians are doing it. A lot of you know.
Yeah, but Canadian Jews. Let's be honest about it.
Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. How did you get the name Jory? What's it mean? Where's it? I mean, because
I don't see any elephant. Am I going to have elephants showing up at my house now?
Yes,
elephants, bears, otters, all the things.
Oh my!
Yeah.
So is Jory like a family name, or is it a bastardization of like Jerry or something? How? Because I'm not familiar with. And I have like many one or two Jewish friends, and I've never heard the name Jory before.
I don't really know. I think so I know that my parents have a friend who's named Jory, and they've been friends with him for a long time, and I think I was named after him. But
do they like
I don't know
him?
what that means. Yeah.
Did you ever like you ever see a hot woman and say you've been summoned to jury duty?
No, but my bandmate from back in the day used to call playing in the band Jory duty. So yeah.
All right. Well, we appreciate you getting up. I know it's an hour earlier where you are, and so you got up extra early to be on the program. We appreciate it. Wish you good luck with the new record and your project 2025 that you're going out to perform.
On that note,
if when the thing is done and you want to come on and we'll definitely help you promote it if you want to come back. We appreciate you being up.
I'd love to come back and chat with you guys. You guys are really awesome.
Cool.
So thank you so much.
We have to get to our premiere of Gamer News with the Lamer Boy. So we appreciate you being here and have a great day and good luck, man. And do come back sometime.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day. Bye for now. Jory Abner, folks, go to joryabner.com. Links is in the description, and now it's going to be time. Look what happens. You see what happens? It's going to be time right now. Are you ready? Are you prepared? Are you scared? Gamer Boy. Whatever we're calling. Are you scared for your big premiere?
I'm fine. Oh man, I didn't need to do that already. I've already fucked it up. Until next time.
Yeah, wait until we do this.
And now, with the latest in video game news that is sure to make your joystick tremble with excitement, it's our chief game correspondent, Stephen the Sitcom Ortiz. Ladies and gentlemen, it's game time. Game time. Game time.
Yeah, game time. All right, Game Boy, take it away. Show what you got.
What is up, everybody? It's game time. Go. That's all I had for that. Anyway, so
that was
only
terrible.
have 3.
Start over. No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
Do it live.
Do it live.
So So it's proof of concept for this thing. I only got 3 stories today, but they're decent sized stories. So the first one is the International Olympic Committee announces that they are adding esports to the Olympics starting in 2025 in Saudi Arabia. So apparently gamers are now athletes.
And one of the things in Saudi Arabia is like virtual hijacking. Is that what it is? Is that a game? Virtual
Actually,
hijack.
I heard the first game they're going to do is Bomber Boy. So,
all right.
But no, there's no list. There's no list of games that's going to be included in this yet. Some of the rumors are like, Fortnite, Rocket League.
Now, my question
Some
is,
of the more
there's a thing called the World Games, and that's going to be like, that's a year from now, right? And one of the games they have is like drone attack or drone battle, where people have to fly drones through like an obstacle course, and so is that like one of the things, or you're talking about virtual games like these are not just on the computer? Because the drones are on a computer, but they're real.
No, this is the virtual series, so this is strictly going to be video games.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. So and
is this at the gay games? Is that what we're talking about? Is it
actually no? Actually, it's funny you said that, because the only concern that they have going into Saudi Arabia is the fact that a good number of the gamers are gay. And so that is one of the biggest hurdles that they're running into.
I would say that anybody that ever touches a joystick is gay, but what do I know? I don't know anything about it. I'm an outer guy. I think that's what I've been told. I'm an outer guy. I don't really know.
It sounds more and more like you might be an otter guy. So
fuck that. Fuck that noise. Now I'm insulted.
Like I said, no word on the games yet that they're going to include on this, but as soon as we find those out, we will let you know. The next one, this one's pretty big. So the FTC is pushing back against Xbox Game Pass price increases. So basically, in the last 2 years, they've made an 87% increase in price without adding anything to it. So they're calling this, let's see here. They're calling this a Go ahead.
Is the FTC familiar with gasoline? Because they have not added anything new to gasoline, but the price keeps going up, right?
My question is, why does this emblem look like a face? Am I the only one that thinks it looks like a face?
Oh yeah, it does look like a face. It looks like a black dude with dreads or whatever they call those.
I hear what you're saying though, Steven, especially like with games being digital. Like a digital game should not cost $70. Because there's no distribution or it costs like that, and like the whole
price gouging. That's what it's called.
The real gouging comes from in-game purchases. That's the work. It's almost like airline fees, essentially.
Well, that's a whole nother thing that's being addressed by Congress, actually. That I have in here for the next time. But what the FTC is saying is Xbox is selling a degraded product, because with Game Pass, with that 81% increase, 80% of the library is Xbox and Xbox 360 games, which are 10, 20-year-old games. Which is part of the reason Xbox has shifted to bringing their day one games or their AAA titles to day one Game Pass as an included thing. So you don't have to pay $70 for a digital game. You get it with Game Pass included. So,
all right. Let me stop you right there for 1 second, because it's a good time to say goodbye to Govs. And this is a little teaser. You're missing out on the rest of the gamer news. So if you really want to get on board with the gamer news, you're going to have to get on MindDog TV. We're all for Govs. Go there Saturday night for Colin Quinn. But in the meantime, we have to say goodbye to you for today, so you can get ready for not Kill Tony, Knock 'em Dead.